And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. So guys, welcome to another Fighting Fit show. Today we are joined by myself, Chris, and Brandon, and everybody listening. The topic of today's podcast is going to be the level method, why it's important to apply progressive overload to your training and regularly assess your progress. So I know you guys love the level method system, as I do as well. It provides a nice, simple, clear roadmap. It helps us assess clients and where they're at, where they have room for improvement, and provides a step-by-step plan, essentially, in terms of kind of how to help them get there. So maybe we'll start off with yourself, Brandon. What do you think with the level method?
Well, sorry, I was just reading up on it there. I'm in the wrong stream. There we go. Right. So, yeah, what I love about the level method is the structure it provides to people who might not know anything about health and fitness. So, obviously, from a coaching perspective, it's very easy for me to set goals for people because, you know, I've done this for years. I've got a large array of exercises in my head, and I can kind of assess a client's goals and their strengths and their weaknesses. But even now that I'm just kind of rattling on about it, it's a process. Whereas the level method, everybody comes in, they get assessed, we can see where they're at, and then we can let them set their own goals by their own nature. Because when you give somebody a chart, you know, if they're not broken in terms of confidence, you know, they get slightly competitive with themselves and they go, oh, well, look, I don't want to be X, I want to be this. And so they set themselves targets just because they feel like they could be doing better. And everybody kind of has an idea of where they would like to be. And when the level method shows you and reflects that in terms of a color, it creates for beginners, a stark difference of like, oh, geez, I didn't realize that I thought I was good at squats. I thought my legs were strong. And the other side of it as well is that it really highlights strengths, which I think is very, very important and motivating for anybody starting out. I know a common conversation I have with an awful lot of people is, oh, geez, I haven't done anything in years. And then they might come along and get something like a blue or an orange and running. And I go, hey, you know, where did that come from? Like, oh, geez, about 6 years back, I tried to run a marathon. It's like, oh, well, there it goes. So, you know, we often think we use it or lose it. And when we think that we lose it altogether. Often enough, we lose conditioning, we lose sharpness, and, you know, it needs a little bit more polished. But it doesn't disappear altogether. And that, to me, was, even for myself, very, very insightful because I thought, geez, you know, maybe you do go back to scratch, and that's not the case at all. And I know from testing with clients at the minute, you know, we might not have done deadlift in months and months and months and months, but the deadlift sticks around, and the level method is a very good way of kind of measuring and showing that. And when it's colorful and we have all these different standards that people start to become familiar with, it's like it really is meaningful to people. Like when people are like, oh, gee, I want to get that purple deadlift, or I want to get that blue, and it could be something that nobody even cares about. Who cares about rowing? You know, most people don't care about rowing, but if they've got a board full of blues and one yellow and rowing, like they'll take it personally and they'll go to work on the rowing, whereas that person without the level method might never have any interest in rowing. Like a bit like myself, I really got into the rings there recently it was 6 months ago now, with the level method, and I probably wouldn't have looked to progress onto the rings if it wasn't for it. So it's really, really, it's a great way for setting goals for people who wouldn't know how to set goals. And then as a coaching tool, it's absolutely amazing because it helps you set goals at scale, which is amazing, and track them at scale. You know, you don't need sheets of paper and anything like that. It's all color coded. It's an amazing system.
Yeah, that's obviously what I like about it as well. It really kind of scales personalized coaching. That's what I like about it. That's kind of why we decided to kind of invest in the program, because it's scale. It makes group training more personal. And even for Chris doing the programming, it allows him to scale each workout to the individual as well, depending on their level, what they're good at, what they're not so good at. So there, Chris, I'll let you jump in. What are your thoughts on the level method overall?
So what I think is really, really cool about it is at whatever point you get assessed at, like, you know exactly what the next level is. And it's not always, but 90% of the time, it's just within reach. So, like, your deadlift, it goes from, let's say, 105 to 115 for 3 reps. Can you do, like, you can do 105, and 115 doesn't seem like it's just, like, it's that much, and you try and then the weight just won't budge. But then all of a sudden, so you know that you're just this close to getting it. And I think that is really motivating because, it makes it simple. You know exactly what you have to do to become better, and you literally couldn't do it before. And then once you get it, you have improved. So one of the best things for me, anyway, is seeing in PTs or even in classes where someone actually does get a level up, and it means so much to them. It's just like they're invested in it, which is really, really cool. It makes it easy to invest in. There are some that are not as easy to level up. So some of them are strict jumps. So you could go from doing ring dips. For me, this is the strict one for me. Ring dips, you have to do weighted ring dips with a certain percentage of your body weight, and then it just goes strict ring muscle up. And you're like, all right. And I'd never practiced the strict ring muscle up right like that before. Didn't even know how to do it, but it set me in this journey to sort of figure out how to actually get there. Because if I can't do it, I can't teach any of the clients to do it. And that's what's really cool. It facilitates growth very, very efficiently.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things, and one of my favorite experiences for people, and even for myself, is like it's a very powerful experience to go on when you start at grassroots and grow. And so, for talk's sake, some people with skipping or their double unders, like how many people have we had conversations or push-ups or pull-ups where they're no more close to a pull-up than they are to getting an extra $6,000 in their pay packet a week, and they just have to start climbing at it. It's like, oh, I'm never going to get it. It's like, right, well, let's start at grassroots then, and let's start where we're at. And if you can take somebody who can't even skip to doing 25 double unders alternating with singles, like they feel an incredible amount of self-confidence and pride. And now, for me, again, we come back to identity. It's like that is so identity shift, because now you're somebody who, instead of it coming at a problem going, oh, I can't do that, you'll go, okay, I know what it's like to not be able to do something or not even be anywhere close, and to go on that journey and to progress and progress and progress, and now come to a point that I'm actually competent and maybe even confident in it. It's like that, to me, is invaluable for your human experience, not just fitness, but obviously for fitness is going to be amazing as well, to have that experience of, oh, I can't do something, to, oh, I can just learn. I'm the kind of person who learns, or what we call a growth and fixed mindset.
That's I was going to jump in on that point because one of the things that I see people coming in with, especially people who maybe have a little bit of lower self-esteem, when they come in, they generally do have a fixed mindset. And when they come in, they'll say stuff like, oh, my legs are strong, but my arms just aren't. I can't skip. I haven't skipped since I was like 10. Like silly stuff like that there, where they limit themselves before they even start. And then they'll come in and it'll be almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then they'll try it and they'll do bad. And I'll be like, all right, like especially for the skipping, I'll be like, you have a tax of 1,000 attempts before you can even assess if you're good or bad at this. And then by like, we don't really count the attempts, but it just gives them leeway to fail. And then once they fail a few times, they start getting into a rhythm. And then like, 3 jumps turns to 7, 7 jump turns to 10, 10 jumps to 15, 15 jumps to 20, then they go back and they're stuck at 17 for ages, and then they go back up to get 25 finally. And what that does is that challenges the belief of the fixed mindset of like, I'm stuck at this position and this is the way I'll always be. And it shows them that way, like a concentrated effort, they will improve. And then that's a framework that they'll take with all the other levels as well. And then you see progress in mobility, you see progress in strength, because they get a return for their actions and their effort.
How sad is it that most people haven't experienced that up until that point in their life? Like, obviously, like I love to get to be a part of it, and I love that I get to be one of the people that gets to facilitate that. But I mean, like, what's missing that after umpteen years in school, and that people don't have that ingrained in them already? Like, I mean, like, and I didn't until I started working with Fighting Fit.
Lots of negative reinforcement, negative experiences, failure, setbacks, lack of encouragement. That would probably do it.
I get it, but I mean, like, why is there not an inbuilt system?
Why is the system not set up to solve this problem?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why
is this not a priority?
Yeah, a growth and fixed mindset is one of the most important things that you can learn as a human. And it's like, it seems to be like really, really beneficial to people across all areas of their lives. Like how many times have we seen it where people develop a growth mindset and then you can, like, they start telling stories about, you know, outside things are changing for them as well. It's like, that's really, really, like, it's amazing.
Because the other side of the coin is a lot of people that don't like to test because, you know, it's going to make them feel bad. You get what I'm saying? Because it's going to reinforce these limiting beliefs that we already have, let's say, you know, so it's just an opportunity for our inner voice or inner critic to be right. But it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you don't believe you can do it. You never put the effort forth. It's like you need to jump in with 2 feet in the sense that, like, you know, I need to believe this is possible, or you will never try your best. I find that.
The quote, someone came in this morning, I think it was Mairead, she was talking about, you know, fail forward. And it's like, and that's the thing. It's like, fail forward is like, it's like, listen, we're looking to go to failure here. It's like, if you don't fail this session, we didn't give it our all. It's like, if we just do this session, do the stuff that we can, it's like, I'm not only expecting you to fail, I'm encouraging it. Like, I want you to fail. I want you to hit your breaking point. That's the idea. Obviously, is safely, but it's like, if we just stay in the realm of what we know, it's like, and that is like, this is the mindset. It's like where we are afraid of failure because, or maybe it's our ego gets in the way. Maybe, you know, when we grew up, when we failed, we did get scolded for it or embarrassed for it or whatever like that. But it's like, failure is an attempt. Like, that's how you get better. Just as you said, your tax, it's like, hey, yeah, it's like, we're supposed to. How many fails until I get it right?
Yeah, I've used that since I first heard it. The beginner's tax. It's just such a good way to just. Okay, you got to do 100. You haven't even tried yet. You're still hearing. It's like, oh, would you expect to be good at it the first time you try? Like, is that reasonable for you just to pick up a barbell and just be able to do?
There's a question. A question I always ask. They're like, "Oh, I'm not very strong." I'm like, "How strong should you be?" And then they're like,
Yeah.
So how strong should you be? How fit should you be? How mobile should you be? Given your life experience and your your journey so far, how strong should you be? And the answer is always like, yeah, probably not very strong. Or like, I've never. It's like, how many times have you trained push-ups? Never. So, and you expect to be good at them just like that. It's
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
We can.
Just on that point that you made, Chris, like, you know, how strong should I be? How fit should I be? According, this is kind of what the level method kind of sets up here. It sets, again, a system for which you to grade yourself upon. And you can look at this here, you know, the spectrum of health. This is something that I think is pretty cool. I would like, where should we be? Where is the wellness zone? The wellness zone is here is blue and purple. A lot of people would consider that to be quite advanced. You know, like we'd say, like, you know, you consider maybe white and yellow to be beginner, orange, but again, high orange is still kind of in that wellness zone. So maybe, you know, orange 3, blue, purple, brown, and then ending after brown is really just about, you know, elite fitness. Whereas kind of that high orange, blue, orange zone, you're kind of really in that wellness zone where you're fit, strong, flexible. And there's an enormous like body of research on, you know, people that are fitter, have better cardiovascular health, are much more resistant. These people who are stronger or much more, or have much better mobility into the later years of their life. You know, there's so, but it was like, but I feel like part of it is the standards are so low. Or do you feel like the standards are just very high on the level method? What do you guys think?
No, I was going to say the exact same thing, and this is where we need to come into the growth mindset. If you're listening to this podcast and maybe that is scaring you a little bit, it's like, yeah, it's like we need to change your standard. Like, we 100% need to change your standard, because it comes up for me time and time again, you know, where people are just kind of settled and they're like, oh, well, you know, I lost a stone. It's like, listen, I've got bad news for you. It's like, you have another 3 to lose. I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's like, the standard for you and the standard for me, and well, the standard for me is always like, I don't want to preach to anybody. It's like, but for the standard for me has always been, it's like athletic. Like, we don't have to be a high performance athlete. It's like, but if you don't feel and look athletic, it's like you're settling. It's like, and so you need to change the standard. It's like, but I can't do a push-up. That's fine. How many fails until you can? And one thing that's changed for me massively in the last 3-4 years is like, I'm now no longer afraid of the work, and I'm now no longer afraid of failure. That's something that massively held me back before, was that the work terrified me, and the thought of failing absolutely shattered my ego. So I just could not handle it at all. And it's like, and once we kind of settle the ego there, then we can go, right, it's okay to fail here. In fact, it's great that you're failing. That's how you know that you're really pushing the boundaries. And then, obviously we have to keep trying to go in the right direction, and we have to lift that standard up, because otherwise, well, are you happy? If are you healthy?
Yeah. Let me see here.
Steve, where do you think most of the value lies in the level method?
Where I feel most of the value lies, I think it develops in the benchmarks, the standards. So kind of having benchmarks and standards to objectively measure yourself against, because it's can be quite hard to be objective. Like I could only do 10 kilos last week and do 20 kilos this week, but it's like, yeah, still 20 kilos is still fuck all. So let's keep going. So just saying objective standards, I think which is important. And then it's just the roadmap. It's the roadmap. So now I've got a clear path. What's next? It's quite varied. There's 15 different categories of functional fitness. So it's not kind of pigeonholed. There's the rings and stuff like that. We've got a little bit of gymnastics. We've got mobility. We've got lower body strength, upper body strength, fitness tests, lactic tolerance, lots of different kind of skills in there. Olympic lifting is a good skill. Skipping is a skill. These things require neurological development. These are all important things. So I feel like if you just stick to the system and you try and, for most people, try and get to blue and maintain blue, I feel should be everybody's goal. Pretty much everybody in the gym is capable of being a blue. There's people that think they're capped out at orange. No, you are capable of being a blue.
I think, just real quick, I think one of the key indicators for blue athletes, or the key benefits, is a general sense of vitality compared to when they were yellow or, let's say, orange. So like yellows, working out's hard. Oranges, working out is challenging. Blues, working out starts to become fun. That's what I think. And I think I see that when the people get their bands and all that jazz. Like the people who get to blue, they get this sense of, not like, they don't like come to me saying, I feel so vital. But like when I'm looking at them in the workouts, there's a change. And then there's also one of the cool things I think about it as well is the social, let's say, the social weight. Like if someone's a blue, like when I'm dividing everyone up, all right, yellows here, oranges here, blues over here, purples over here, like, like the purples are like the cool kids in the class. You get me? They're off. So I don't really have to watch them that much. I can trust them that they're going to work hard. They're going to do all this sort of stuff because they've learned the lesson, they've progressed into it, and they see the value in training it. But on top of that, they're surrounded by other purples who are also trying to get brown and trying to level up and these other things. So it's like steel sharpens steel, which is really, really cool to see someone grow into. And I think all of that starts at blue.
Because I just seen that, like, I feel like a lot of people would kind of look at that and kind of think could there's an argument that is a negative, people who are fit or blah blah blah. But like as you said, iron sharpens iron. Like the best thing you can do is to be training beside somebody who's the same level as you, so you can kind of push each other just hard enough,
or above, or slightly above.
But that's what I'm saying, just enough. But you could steal their soul by doing 20 burpees and they can only do 5. You're like, fucking hell. They're doing 3, I'm doing 1. But if they're doing maybe 1.5, and they're slowly but surely creeping on you, you go that little bit harder to keep up, essentially. Because that's like, why are you exercising? Like, like progressive overload. Like, you got to be trying to do more reps, trying to add more weight. And again, not all the time. So we go through seasons and all this kind of stuff, fair enough. But like, the overall objective should be to level up, to test yourself, to see, am I making progress? And again, like maybe, not every testing season is going to be smashing up the levels, but every other one, every second one, every third one, at least until you reach, blue, and then it's like, right, how hard do you really want to work here for purple, like, or brown or black or whatever? Because like, you have to be a dedicated athlete and lift really heavy. Some people are just averse to lifting heavy things. Like some people just don't like necessarily all aspects of exercise. People have their, let's say, their personal preferences, but with the LevMed system, you have to, be well-rounded, let's say, and that's kind of really what functional fitness is all about, I think.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to embrace the suck. That's it. Sometimes you just gotta do the stuff.
Even if you don't like it, and even if you don't like cardio, you have to get the run done. Even if you don't like lifting heavy weights, you got to put a in the bar and you got to try and squat it, you got to deadlift it or whatever. We've got a lot of strong. I think I seen Eve Hoyder put up this morning 105 kilos for a deadlift. Like, we've got a lot of strong, fit members. Like, there's loads of purples and browns and this kind of stuff now. Like people that are really,
and there's more. There's more coming. That's the cool thing. Like, I'm so excited to train. Like seeing like let's say Paddy King has been doing Like he's been working real hard, and he's getting a lot leaner and a lot lighter. And like one of the things, like everyone's getting easier. You know, like pull-ups are getting easier, push-ups are getting easier, the burpees are getting easier. Everyone's it's starting to line up for him, and he's getting stronger, and he's getting fitter. But like when like if I'm checking on him in the middle of a session, and I'm like, man, burpees are going way better, push-ups are looking smoother. You know, like he will like confirm it, and then like he sees the return on investment for his effort, and then he starts working harder. Yeah. And it's so cool. It's so cool to see that. And then if he is training, like the other day, he was training with Benny, who's brown. He's one of our top sort of athletes. But then like going head to head for reps, which is so cool to see. And Joe one starts pushing a little bit more. The other starts like, oh, Paulie's doing them a little bit better than you, and he'll start going a little bit deeper in the push-ups. Like it's really cool.
There's really is not better than that. That's kind of really something that we're trying to replicate. Like with Fighting Fit is that kind of that kind of vibe you got the boxing club. Like only for like had Trey Cooney as my training partner, had other training partners, people to compete with you on the runs, people that kind of compete with you on the bags. You know, although you weren't fighting each other, it's like who's working harder here. I think like that's one of the greatest benefits of group training, group exercise, or even partner training.
And one of the reasons why that is because somebody else would drag you to a place that will break you physically and mentally. And it's like, and that's where the real growth, obviously, like, again, not to the point where you're actually, but it's like where you are gone, like for talk's sake, Benny and Paulie for talk's sake, like two of them working to the point, nobody was going to dig that deep without the other one. And it's like to that point where it's like, oh, like we've made a change here now. Like we're after breaking new ground. But something I would say, just kind of back on that, which is funny, Chris, you know, unconsciously, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we all kind of do it from time to time in class because it's such a rarity. But it's the white bands. Like we sometimes don't even mention the white bands. And when you ask me like what's like some of the, or we asked even like what's some of the best value for the level method, like for me it's having the white band. It's like for us to be able to have a class that Benny can be in and somebody else can be in who literally has never been to the gym before, and the white is that safety net. Like I would have no problem throwing anybody ever into a white workout. Like there's so like, and they're challenging, but they're so simple. Like don't get me wrong, like the pace can be there from time to time, and you know it can be challenging. But it's like the weights are light. In terms of like
movements are simple,
super simple. It's the bare basics, and to literally have something available in every single workout that is the bare basics that anybody can do, and then it's scaled all the way up. It's like the value in that, I feel, is just absolutely incredible because we can take on anybody. Like
actually, wait there. On that point. So last week, when I was at the gym, I was practicing on the parallettes for some calisthenics sort of stuff, and I'm going to be starting to get into some of that sort of stuff. And on that, I seen a video, and it was how to do this like lever thing where you're on one parallel, you're holding like this here, and it just showed you like this is like 10% progression, 20% progression, 30, 40, 50, 60, you know, all the different variations. And when I was watching the video, I was like, I can do that one, I can do that one, I can do that one, I can't do that one. And it marked out exactly where I needed to be. So the cool thing about the level method as well, because if I like, I was an absolute, like I've never done calisthenics sort of stuff except apart from maybe a bit of yoga. But the thing that it shows, it gives you access to what the beginner level is. Like it gives you access to being able to support yourself on the rings. And before you can even support yourself on the rings, can you support yourself stable? All right, you can't do that. Well, then can you plank and support yourself from your elbows? So like there's the levels of progression, because they're so incremental. You can be a complete beginner and slowly develop into an absolute athlete, which is super, super, super cool. And you know exactly how far away you are too.
Yeah. Totally. And again, like, the whole thing is with the progress, sorry, Brandon, is that's how you get motivated. When you see yourself going from level 1 to level 2, like psychologically, progress equals motivation. So as you like, if you don't assess yourself, if you never weigh and you don't know if you're losing any weight, if you never put the measuring tape around your hips, you don't know if you how many inches you're losing. People it provides an opportunity to objectively measure your progress, and that's extremely motivating. That's literally what keeps us going. That's literal motivation. Like we start from because of pain or pleasure. You know, we're in a place of pain. We're sick of feeling like shit. We're too much overweight or whatever. You know, or we've got a vision, an exciting vision for the future. We want to look this certain way on the beach or win the championship or get back in the football team. So it's either heaven or hell. That's what gets us started. And then what keeps us going is seeing that it's actually working. The sacrifices I'm making are working. Otherwise, people just get pissed off and quit. You know, bitter and you know they don't want to do it. But that's kind of why that part of it's so important. And with as you mentioned, with the guys I mentioned that, as you move towards blue, let's say exercise, let's say gets easier because it's also incorporated into the system because one of the strength categories is relative strength. Like if you're 30-40% body fat, you're not going to be banging out. Well, it's possible, but it's going to be a lot harder to be banging out, muscle ups and pull ups and different things like moving your body weight. And obviously, a lot of the exercise are, like put a quarter of your body weight on the bar. So if you're just leaner, it's going to be an easier for you relative to say your weight to power ratio, or weight to strength ratio.
Here's a good one. It's a great way to ensure that you're monitoring your body weight and maintaining the weight that you actually lost. I had a client there the other day, and we were moving on in upper body push, and we were moving into overhead press. And the weight that they could press was, I don't know, like 50 kilo, right? And it was like 0.8 of their body weight or something like that. Those numbers are off, right? Let's say it's 0.4 of their body weight, right? 0.4 of their body weight or whatever. And the weight that they could press was 50 kg. But for the level that they wanted, they needed to press like 57 over the head at their current body weight. And I said to him, I was like, listen, there's two ways that we can get this level because it's a percentage of your body weight. You can lose the extra weight, and the number you're after pressing, which was 50 kilo, would be not only purple 2, but purple 3 if you were lean, because realistically, we shouldn't be that body weight. We should be a lighter weight. And so in relative to your strength, you are strong enough, but you're strong enough for a lighter weight, but you're not strong enough at your current weight. And so if we lose 5 kg, you'll automatically bump up 2 levels because performance is not the issue. It's your weight is the issue. And so if you're an athlete and you're trying to progress in the level method, and every once in a while it's going to throw at you pull-ups at a percentage of your body weight, dips at a percentage of your body weight, overhead press at a percentage of your body weight, it's like, well, we're going to try and make sure.
Endurance is a percentage of body weight as well, isn't it?
Yeah, squat endurance again. So lots of different metrics at a percentage of your body weight. And so it's like that you're going to want to make sure that that's on track, or you're going to be suffering for it.
Yeah. Because it's important. There's a reason that Olympic athletes are, 8 to 12% body fat. Having a good weight to power ratio is important. As Chris said, that's partly what makes the exercise easier, I find. When you're carrying an extra 10 pounds, 20 pounds, like you feel it in the workout, and then we kind of get leaner, you're just more springy. There's a bit more spring in your step. It's easier to move around. Like, so if you put 10 kilos in your backpack, like you notice that. Like,
no, 100%.
You notice that just kind of nonchalantly walking around every day.
I think people really underestimate. I think because they walk, like if you walk around, you have a lot of excess body fat and you're heavier, so you're sort of just used to it. And like, just imagine, like, I give you a 10 kg dumbbell, just a 10 kg dumbbell, all right? I'm like, hold that around all day.
or more so even relative to the level. If I said, okay, do 10 squats, do 10 push-ups, do a pull-up, it's obviously going to make things harder. You have got a weighted chain around your belt, whether you like it or not. So it's also important to kind of note that at a certain point you do need to level up with the body fat percentage. But what would you guys say is a reasonable target? Say typical male, female, 30 years old. What kind of body fat percentage do you like to see people below?
I would like to see people anywhere between 15 and 20%. I think it depends on the person. For males, 15 and 20%, because 15 is where you start looking athletic. The abs are starting to be shown and all that sort of stuff. 20% is where, like, you don't really have abs, but you have a good shape, you're not overweight or whatever it is, and you don't have to make too many sacrifices in regards to your diet. So, like, you can still live your life and all that, still be fit. Would your relative strength go up if you got leaner? Yeah. But sometimes what I find is that as the relative strength goes up, it's like a balancing act. Like, as the relative strength increases, objective strength can decrease. So, like, I noticed on my deadlift.
So some people are only lifting, like, because again, it's like the deadlift is a counter lever. You're 150 kilos. It's much easier for you to lift big weight. If you lost, say if you were 30-40% body fat, you lost 3-4 stone, now you're attempting that same lift at 120 kilos, it's much harder to move mass, so it's much harder. So that is the other side of the thing.
Even with that, right? Like, it's not even with the big weights. Like, I did it from 82 kilos down to 75, and like the difference in terms of strength and leverage and everything is massive. Like, I couldn't like lean back as much. I don't know how to explain it.
That's
so
hilarious.
it's not so like the difference, it went from 215 to like 190. I was like, oh god. Now, in saying that as well, obviously, I was in a sustained calorie deficit for a while and all that jazz too. But I definitely noticed it. But my pull-ups and muscle ups were like laughably easier.
Yeah.
And then as I went up the weight, like I remember I learned how to muscle up, and then I was bulking. I gained a good bit of weight, and I couldn't muscle up anymore. I just couldn't do it. I'm like, what the hell? What just happened? So it does, like, there is a balancing act to get. Now it doesn't mean that like just because I got leaner that I lost all my strength and my fitness or whatever it is. It's just that I needed to build my strength without the lever. You can still progressively overload.
For example, do you think that would be the same for your squat? Like, or is it just the deadlift because it's a lever exercise, or do you think your
No, it was the same with my squat and same with my bench.
But again, do you think that's because of a deficit or because you were lighter?
Because I was lighter.
For squat,
I think for the squat and for the bench as well. For the bench as well, yeah.
Yeah, because it's interesting. You said, I'm thinking like, what is the move mechanics stat? Because obviously it's easy to explain with the deadlift because obviously it's a cantilever movement, but obviously you think being leaner would help with the squats because you're driving less weight up. Same with the bench press, but like generally, I know what he's saying to be true. Like people are heavier can just move more.
Yeah,
weight.
like when I was heavier, like my squat was way better than when I was leaner. In terms of just raw oomph to give. Now it could be completely anecdotal. I'm not like, when you're saying it, like it feels like I should be wrong with the squat because I'm carrying less weight on my own body. But with the bench, it is nothing to do with, let's say, my weight or whatever it is. But when I was lighter, I was lifting less.
But again, I would just wonder if it was because of you're in a calorie deficit versus a maintenance or surplus.
I think that's a factor, but I don't think that is as big a factor as my weight. But I could be wrong with that. I could absolutely be wrong with that. I would.
Because the bench doesn't make any sense at all to be heavier. That would be any kind of advantage.
Yeah, but it is. Try it out. Tell you what, try it out for yourself. Bulk up to 85 kilos, get a big bench, and then cut, and then see what that does to your bench.
We'll review this conversation. Well, so right, okay, hold on. But see, there's one piece of that that's missing. But we will do that. We'll review in 6 months. What happens if you go from bulk to cut, then rebulk in a calorie surplus for a couple of weeks, where your body now is not depleted, but you're not quite as bulky. You know, it's like
so the strength came right back
while you were lean.
No.
That's
wait there. Just so, like it increased proportionally as my weight went back up.
Hilarious. Okay, that's interesting.
It's pretty cool.
Actually, wait there. Sorry. What are the cool points though? Is that I eventually learned to do muscle ups in the heavier weight, which is cool. So then when I got even leaner, they got way easier again. So like I couldn't do it and had to practice like hell to get it again and get stronger and more explosive. And then when I got leaner again, it translated to way better things. So the cool thing about it is that I lost the ability and then I had to regain it. And the skill, I think the muscle up now is less about strength and more about skill and more about the technique. Because even if I've put in less effort and less strength, when you have the technique more refined and more efficient, it's easier.
Yeah.
Just to emphasize that. Go on.
Sorry, go on. I was going to say my standard for body fat would be some. I feel like that's a reasonable goal. And then obviously it depends, like Chris is there talking, for example, bulking and cutting. It's like, at the arse end of your bulk, you might not have any abs, but that's a decision. That's a decision to steer away from abs for another goal. But I think just in general, if you're trying to be overall athletic and you don't want to be, you're not actively looking for a bulk, it's like, I feel like a good middle point would be some abs, because obviously everybody's kind of fat storage changes. It's like some people store it in their belly straight away, some people don't. But I feel like a good goal for the vast majority of people is like, don't need to absolutely dice. You don't even need to be able to have a six pack. But it's like, if you can at least see a little line in the middle, can see a little bit of tone of the abs, I feel like we're probably carrying too much body fat, and that would both go for men and women. And I feel like there's lots of different ways that you could get your body fat measured. And so if you're just using a machine and that machine is unfavorable to you and you can't get that number, don't stress out so much about the numbers. Like, can you see some abs? And then after that, it's like, right, can you see some abs but still have massively overweight legs? It's like, right, well, then you're probably just carrying abs favorably. So again, it's like there's a little bit of.
But I would say objectively, you're talking males 15 to 20% body fat would be in that kind of healthy athletic range. Females 25 to 30% body fat is just a good general guideline. For women, getting below that 30%, like I know 99% of clients would be females, pretty happy with themselves below 30% body fat. Typically, you're a dress size 8 to 10, depending on how you carry your weight. And then for males, then you're talking 15 to 20% body fat. Once you're 20, as Chris said, you're looking good in a t-shirt. Once you're 15% body fat, you're looking at a couple of abs, maybe a wee 2-pack, 4-pack kind of thing. And then, 10 to 12%.
Leaner than that. Leaner than that. Now, what do I recommend with there? I think it's important. Like, what do I recommend you get to help really boost your self-esteem, your confidence, and make you feel absolutely amazing when you wake up and look at yourself in the mirror? Is get to like 10, 12% body fat. I think that's important. Like, I feel like we have like an obligation to be like safe with our recommendations because, like it's not our job to sort of project goals onto people and all this sort of stuff. But, there is something to be said for someone who is like, no, I want to get in really, really good shape. They come to you, they're really motivated. They want to train as hard as they can so they can look as best as they possibly can because it's a standard that they want to set in their life. And I think that should be encouraged as well, just as much. And that the value of that should be encouraged. Like getting ripped and getting a 6-pack, when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're proud of yourself. I think it's a really, really, really good thing to strive for.
Here's what I think is just as important, and if not, like the crux of that is like, the key should be you should be able to do it. Like you might decide it's like you don't want to be shredded. That's fair because being shredded comes with an awful lot of cost. But it's like if you're at the point where you can't get shredded because you're struggling with limiting factors in your lifestyle and your diet and your nutrition, if you're not shredded and that's a choice, no problem. If you can't get shredded because you haven't the discipline or the structure or routine or the meal plan or the knowledge or the cookery skills, it's like that is a big issue because now it means that if you ever do get shredded in your life, it's probably going to be through some kind of extreme metric and it's not going to be sustainable or repeatable like on seasons. Like, and so getting it, like for me, for example, I get way more shredded in the summer than I do in the winter because I know my summer holidays coming up and that's my choice. It's like and again, periodically now I will bulk in the winter seasons and cut in the summer seasons. And I feel like that's probably a trend for most people who, are in the fitness industry because they want to be a little bit leaner. But I feel like, again, giving yourself that permission to be that little bit heavier. But again, that only comes, it's only a choice if you can do the counter. If you can't get lean, it's like, well, then, this isn't a choice. You're kind of stuck. And I feel like that is a big problem. And I feel like the behaviors behind the 12%, the 15%, the 20%, whatever it is like, that's the key thing. It's like, are you able to achieve the behavior on demand, or is this something that you're still struggling with?
I think it's more a question of how long can you sustain the behavior. I think that's kind of the real key thing because people can get the behavior, not the result. Because again, like 12% body fat is like some people's bodies just doesn't agree with it. Like they're going to be like starving there. Some people could walk around 12% all year. It's like, and that's why I feel like the emphasis should be the behavior.
I think another important factor is environmental as well. Like, does your environment support these goals? Like, that's one of the biggest things that you should be aware of when you're coaching people. Like, some people are like, I want to lose this weight, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm doing this. But if I'm coaching a teenager, and their parents literally don't give a crap about nutrition, it's outside of their control. It's like, look, we gotta have a wee chat here about what your expectations are. Now, you can train and you can build muscle and you can get strong and fit, but if you're looking to get lean and you don't have any control over your nutrition, you can't have a conversation with people about it. Your environment doesn't support it. Like, good luck. I don't think it's necessarily even just the ability as the person. Like, I think your support network is really, really important too.
True, great point.
But you can also upgrade that again through good communication.
100%.
What about for some cases we can have the difficult conversations.
So that would be one of the limit factors. Again, we know from the precision nutrition course that we did, like, one of the key factors is environment, and it is your social support network, and it is your social group. So, like, Joe, if you're another one is partners and relationships. If you're training, trying to get real fit, and then every so often you have your other half being like, oh, let's go to the shop, let's get some chocolate bars, let's get some ice cream, we'll go to the movies, or Joe, can we get a takeaway? I don't feel like cooking tonight. Stuff like that. Like, being able to address those environmental factors is a key factor in your success. Like, absolutely.
One that I'm hammering home on lately is cooking skills. Can you even cook? Like, and then another one, not just cooking skills. Like, do you have the utensils? It's literally taken me about 5 years to gather up, the bare basics of a kitchen.
You got stuff for Chris. You had stuff on your Christmas list for kitchen stuff.
100%. It's because again, it's like we need to get to a point where cooking And looking after ourselves in terms of nutrition is a priority. And again, like, let's talk with the level method. Like, where are you? Are you a white band? Are you a yellow band? Are you orange band? Are you black bands? Like, can you bloody cook? And there's some people, and it's amazing. It's like, I deal with people all the time and getting photos taken for, taking photos for the food for accountability. And the difference between some people's, like, literally like a boiled egg, slice of toast, and somebody else sourdough bread, avocado, this, like, just like, but it's the mind for it. Like, they just have the skills ingrained, and somebody else is, again, it's just a white belt. And again, it's not a judgment call, same as in the session. It's like, your white belt, your blue belt. It's like, cool. It's like, what's the next step to get there? So we have to start upgrading. You have to start making terrible meals. You're going to oversalt your food. You're going to over-season it. You're going to burn it. It's like, that's part of it. It's
Got to
like,
pay the beginner's tax.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Do you know how many, God love Chloe, do you know how many beginner's tax meals she ate for me? So that was that. I seen a good channel, some Australian guy, I think it's That's What I Reckon. And he said it's like, all that spices is like when you fucking overspice something, it's like, the dish just crumbles under the weight of your creative fucking genius. It's like with all your spices. I'm just like, that's what happens. I used to think, more is better. And again, we do the same thing with exercise nutrition. We just think more is better. I'm seasoning it. I'm putting all the seasonings here. It's like when sometimes just
less is more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. Right, cool, guys. We're going to have to wrap it up here. Just to kind of finish off, anybody does want to try out the Level Method system, see what we're all about, please do visit www.fightingfitnation.com. The Level Method provides a simple but structured system to allow you to progress in a very simple, motivating way with the support of our coaching team and community. We'd love to have you be a part of it. So if you know anybody, please do send them our way. With that said, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for your time, and we will see you in the next episode.
Peace.